PSA, exclusively on the Street 91.9 FM, and it's hosted by the Public Services Association. We are here Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And of course, here with me today are the two trusted comrades. Ladies first, if you don't mind.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Comrade Joe. This is Shalene Sucha Dwarka, the Deputy General Secretary of the Public Services Association. Glad to be back with you again, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning.
And of course, our second Vice President, Comrade
Ian Murray. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
And I am Christopher Joe Field, first Vice President, and I say good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and I hope we had a great Easter weekend. I know that we didn't have much negative things happening, at least based on the news, and that is a good thing. But our focus is always the interest of public servants, the public service, and quality service to the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago. And how can we improve those services is our objective, because every public officer ought to know that if he delivers good quality service, excellent quality service, that somewhere down the line his family, brother, sister, mother, uncle, grandmother, or somebody benefits from it. All right, and it is highlighting the weaknesses that currently exist in the public service, which we construe to be a conspiracy to dismantle the public service and thereby cause inefficiencies in the quality of the service delivery and the service generally that we aim to try to bring attention to and hope to stop, slow down, or even reverse it, and thereby bring back the public service to that pristine level of efficiency that we once had. Comrade?
And more importantly, independent of political interference and so on, right? What we found over a period, a time that my comrade was speaking about, is that for some reason or the other, the hands of the politics are getting involved into the public service itself, and thereby creating a sort of
a kind of it's mixing up the thing. It is causing problems in service delivery. It is causing problems in how the ordinary citizen benefits from the service of the state.
And it's done all under the guise of expediency, trying to, what they say, get rid of the bureaucracy or the red tape, which we know are all checks and balances to make sure that, everything is done above board.
Yeah.
And Trinidad and Tobago, it is an interactive program, and as such we invite you to call in and contribute to the discussion using the following telephone numbers: 622-9154, 622-3303, or 631-0219 if you're calling from Tobago, as well as 639-0791. You can go onto the PSA's Facebook page, and you would find links there to the program as well, so you can see us streaming live over YouTube and so on. So Trinidad and Tobago, this is you and I on PSA, and we welcome you to participate this morning.
Great. And I want to start from the top, where the regulations are concerned, comrades, brothers and sisters, simply because what we have realized is that in the management of the internal affairs, or the operations, should I say, of the service, there seems to be a disregard for the regulations. There seems to be a disregard for the procedures and processes that's supposed to guide how a public officer delivers, how he does his job on a daily basis, and the attendant benefits that go with it, such as increments, promotions. And promotion for a lot of us really creates that impetus for us to move upwards, because it is known, or it is a given fact, that a public officer can come from the very lowest rank in the organization and move all the way up to the highest. We're talking about to be able to reach the level of a permanent secretary in the public service. But if you don't know the rules, the regulations that govern the employment relationship, that ignorance could keep us in a state of constant conflict with ourselves, and not being able to benefit, or not being able to drive the service in as efficient a manner as possible. And I think that without bringing this to your, if we don't bring this to your attention, in other words, we would be derelict in our duty. As they say, ignorance is bliss. So we want to look at what the Public Service Commission regulations are about, and how the regulations are arranged, because for a lot of public officers this may be a kind of deja vu, going back to when it was. But for many public officers today, some of them don't even know how we get around the issue of getting time off, for example, all right, and or how you deal with an internal customer and how you deal with a member of the public. The regulation speaks to all these things, and I think that it is important that we revisit the regulations as we go forward. So let's bring up the theme song as we attempt to edify you.
I never can understand it, the way the system goes. I don't know how they do it. It's only one way things flow. 'Cause every time I lift my head above water and try to save myself from drown, there's an overnight scheme all worked out, designed to keep me down. Still I'm putting up a resistance. I've got to work it out. You know I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. Whoa, putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out now. Putting up a resistance now. I'm gonna work it out. Wanna stay home tonight. Like to spend some time with my family. Staying home won't make it right. Sometimes the pressure make me feel like harder, when every sign says no way out. Breaking my back to make a no on that dollar that goes from hand to mouth. Still I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. You know I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. I'm putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. You know I'm putting up a resistance.
And you would, for a lot of us public servants, we would recall that when you when you left school and you thought of a place to get a job, it was the public service. You say, I'm going to work in the government service. And you had all your big dreams and these aspirations that only could have been achieved if you became an employee of the state. So what did you do? You filled an application for an appointment by the Service Commission?
Yes, and you would wait. It's either you come in by interview, whether it's mostly position. The only way to come in basically is at an entry level position, right? We have those at the lower level, and then there's the professional class, which I believe the entry level is at range 46.
Range 46,
yes. I believe it is. Yeah, but some positions, it depends on your qualifications and the availability of space, as well as there are other positions where you have to either face an exam or you do an interview, right? And according to how you do, you would receive a call from the commission, followed by a letter,
yes,
giving you what you would call a probationary appointment, and you take it from there.
So, Madam Deputy General Secretary, you could give us your experience in that regard, because your area, if I understand it clearly, is the Immigration Department. And when you got appointed, you could take it from there.
Oh, well, that is an interesting scenario because, in the public service, you have a lot of temporary, permanent people around.
Yes, indeed. Some people
permanently temporary.
for as much as...
For years.
For years, we have just sitting there, temporary.
But in the position of immigration, particularly, and even in customs and excise, you are on probation for as much as 3 years, comrade.
Aye.
The probationary appointment is for 3 years. And after the 3 years, then you have to be appointed and then confirmed in that position, confirmed as an appointed officer. But I wanted to point back to the Public Service Commission regulations and speak to Section 37, which governs, Chapter 5, which speaks to the probationary appointments. And, we had the recent circular of the CPU that spoke to persons acting in higher positions. So, prior to that circular, what year was that circular? 2014? Prior to that circular, you may have acted in a position for many years, and you would have had the expectation of, being appointed to that vacant position. However, that is no longer the case.
No.
Now, whether or not you've been acting in that position for however long, it gives you no claim to the position, comrade.
Yeah, but that in itself is a situation that sets up the ordinary public servant to not having an expectation that if he does well in acting in that position for, let me say, about 6-8 years, but when that vacancy is to be filled, that he has no claim to it, that is crazy. But it, as we say, it all comes back. It is connecting the dots to give one the impression that the public service is not that institution that is so well oiled anymore, and to give one the to have you be hanging on. You're doing your best, but do not expect to be considered to be appointed in that position.
Well, do not expect to be paid either, because we have persons who are acting for many years in higher positions, and when I say acting in the position, they are doing the functions of the position and have not been remunerated for it. And there are some instances where persons are acting on paper. You ever
Yes.
heard about that one? You're acting on paper. You're
Yes.
acting on paper. And you're not being allowed to do the functions of the higher office.
Yes.
We have so many different issues in the public service, comrade. They're not even funny.
And one of the things that I find really interesting about the commission regulations is that it covers almost every aspect of the internal expectations of public officers, because where appointments are concerned, it talks about application for appointment, the selection for an appointment on the basis of competitive examinations, which means how you get into the service, how vacancies are to be filled. It speaks about appointments to be by competition within the service, within the particular service.
That's the exam. You are asked to write an exam.
Yes.
And you're subjected to an interview, the interview process, and then they create this order of merit list.
Exactly.
Which is supposed to have an end date to it, and when upon its expiration, it's no longer supposed to be used. But again, the Service Commissioners Department has been derelict of their duty in
Yes,
that
indeed.
instead of having these open competitions and going back to the examination and interview process, instead of allowing that process to be done, they extend the expiry date.
On the merit list.
I don't know on what authority they do that, but they extend the date of the expiry date for the order of merit list, and they go back to it and keep it using from that list as though it's non-exhaustive. I don't know why they allow these things to happen.
Even when it comes to advertising or how vacancies are filled, right? They also cover areas such as the principles for selection for promotion.
But again, comrade, what Trinidad and Tobago does not know is that the simple expectations of promotion by seniority, that has been eroded in the public service, because now where positions would have been accessible to those senior in the public service,
Yes.
the Public Service Commission is now saying, no, we are going to either fill it by contract, we are going to do an examination and interview process, and they keep losing these matters all the way up to High Court, and they keep doing it over and over. We have members right now who would have been eligible for higher positions in the public service, who were not allowed to do so, not allowed to be promoted, and they have retired. They've since retired, and the matter still remains outstanding to be dealt with. Now, the PSA is not going to let the matter fall through the cracks.
That's correct.
Because we have built into our constitution provisions for members to become honorary members, and their matters do not disappear when they retire. So if the Public Service Commission is of the opinion that we wait them out, they retire and they're gone. No. The PSA is here. The PSA is as strong as ever, and we are not allowing members' matters to be forgotten or lost.
I am looking at Regulation 18, and it says, the principle for selection for promotion. In considering the eligibility of officers for promotion, the Commission shall take into account the seniority.
That's right.
The experience, the educational qualifications, merit and ability, together with relative efficiency of such officers, and in the event of an equality of efficiency of two or more officers, shall give consideration to relative seniority of the officers available for promotion to the vacancy. But I don't know that does be happening anymore.
Well, maybe it fell out of some people's version of the law.
And that is why I'm saying most of
it's good that you read it out,
most of these HROs are running their department as though it is their own parlor, because the regulations are clear. It speaks very clearly to how promotion is done in the public service.
Let's don't lose sight of the fact that the same dismantling of the public service we're speaking about, responsible for the situation that we know. The way they're trying to go about correcting the situation may not be right. Now because persons were not filling out or applying the performance appraisal system the way they ought to, what we find happening in the public service now, in some instances, I'm not saying all, that you have a lot of square pegs ending up in wrong holes because their performance appraisal wasn't done correctly. Now we're realizing in some instances we have people in middle management and in some instances management, right?
The parachute inside into the place.
That are high up and can't do the job. And there are some junior officers that are quite capable of doing the job. But the way they want to go about correcting it by just making these people jump over everybody, they allow the persons on top there, even though we know they can't do the job, the opportunity to win their cases at the court.
Yeah, but comrade, one of the things that I have observed is that even though these HROs or the heads of departments, whether have the authority to manage the HR function, the fact of the matter is that those are delegated functions, and it was delegated by the Service Commission to these heads, but
it wasn't relinquished.
No,
right?
it was
delegated. It's not relinquished. They have the ultimate responsibility and the ultimate accountability for these functions.
And Regulation 10 subsection 3, they say any powers so delegated shall be exercised in such a manner as the Commission may direct. The Commission, And at 4, it says every delegation under this regulation shall be revocable. What is the Commission waiting to revoke these functions? But when they are making a mess of the human resource management function in the public service, what are they waiting on?
And maybe we should invite some calls, comrade, and let some of the public service officers get a chance to say how long they have been acting. The qualified actors out there now. We have our own Hollywood in Trinidad and Tobago. Let them call in and say how long perhaps they have been waiting to be appointed, because we're talking about the dignity of the public service. Persons no longer have this dignity associated with being employees of the state. Callers, the numbers to call in are 622-9154. I'll say it again, 622-9154. If you're calling from Tobago, you can use 631-0219, 631-0219, or 622-3303, or 639-0791. Those are the lines you can use to interact with us this morning. And we want to hear from you. How long have you been acting without confirmation? How long? Academy Awards time now. We have to start giving some awards to these public servants. We need to put an end to all this acting and these actors and actresses in the public service.
And they have them acting, in some cases, without even formal instructions to act,
We have temporary clerk ones, acting 2, acting 3, acting 4. That's the situation we reach.
Officers, clerk 1's acting administrative officers.
Acting all the way up.
We need to get it right, Trinidad and Tobago.
You're talking about their substantive is?
Temporary clerk 1, not even appointed clerk 1.
And they are acting
all the way up to administrative officer.
That gives the public the understanding that there is a vacancy to be filled, but instead of filling the vacancy, they have put a temporary officer to acting the position, and that person kept on acting all the way up till they got to
retirement sometimes. Retirement.
We have people as temporary clerk 1s in the public service for as much as 15, 20 years.
And there is a regulation that says plainly, Regulation 13.2, where a vacancy exists for more than 3 months and no request has been made by the permanent secretary, the permanent secretary or the head of department for the filling of the vacant post, the director, who is the director here?
The DPA.
Thank you. Shall send to each permanent secretary or head of department a statement of existing vacancies in his ministry or department requesting early recommendations for filling vacancies. And that is not happening. Why are they attempting to dismantle the public service like this? Why? Why are they making public officers' jobs insecure by not filling vacancies and having promotions?
No, but it goes on, even if the permanent secretaries and head of the department don't make the recommendations, it goes on to tell you if recommendations or satisfactory explanations for a lack thereof are not received within a month, the director, again the DPA, shall report the fact to the commission, and the commission shall require the permanent secretary or head of department to inform it of the reasons for the failure to request the filling of the vacancy.
But comrade, they don't have to request the reasons. We all know the reasons. The reason is to dismantle the public service.
You see, I think there is some part in this regulations that says you can retire a public officer on the grounds of inefficiency if it is that they are acting in a manner that is inimical to the general welfare of the public good, If it is that these PSs and these managers who have that responsibility and they are not performing their duties the way they should, and therefore affecting the way public officers do their jobs, activate the regulation. Send them home in the public interest. Because this public service cannot collapse. Trinidad and Tobago cannot go down the road to be what can easily be called a failed state because the public service has started to disintegrate from within. Send home these PSs who are not doing their job. Send home those heads of departments. Remove those senior HROs who have that responsibility, and commission, take back your functions. If it is too much for you to handle, get more energetic people. Get more energetic people to do the job, because the public is suffering, public servants are suffering, and the public service is getting a bad name. The number is 622-9154, 3303, 631-0219, and in Tobago, it's 639-0791. We have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning and welcome.
I listened to the conversation. I'm reminded through the conversation of an incident that took place where a public servant was taken off the job in a mental institution. And I think it went on, and the family who had to protest and go to different portals to get the dress, and then the person was released. I don't know what was the outcome of the matter. I don't know if you recall that.
The PSA
the PSA was involved in that matter. Okay, sure. The PSA was involved in that matter from the get-go. And the reason why we got involved is because we needed to stop it at the head.
Please
because
hang up and try your call.
If that were to have been allowed to be perpetrated on public officers, other officers would have been subjected to that kind of treatment. But the Public Services Association would have paid decent money to have the matter heard in the court, and the public officer was eventually released and her interest protected. I think she got a tidy sum of money a couple years ago, or is it months ago? Yes, she did. She did. And that is all the more reason why we have to be vigilant, because somebody out there or some bodies out there seem to think that if we mash it up and we reconstitute it, we can turn it into something that we can manage, not in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago and the very employees who make up the public service.
And it goes back to respecting people's rights, huh?
That's correct.
That's right.
Good morning, sir. Or ma'am.
Listen, you go to the market with that. In a sec, one piece of the motor, it is sold.
Hello. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Hello, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. I was trying to get in there like Cameron. This is 91.9.
Yes, it is.
Oh, all right, because it was crying on like about talking about the food that is wasting. You know, like.
Oh, you talking about another?
I don't know what is your topic, eh?
Yeah. You talk.
We're talking about the public service here live this morning. You're on the air.
All right. The union supposed to do add fire to the fuel. You know what I mean? We have to work together as a people to really bring the country back in one, because we've been through a period of wastage.
Yes.
And I find that we should work together. Instead of trying to masturbate the problem that we have. Because we have a nice country, and we country going to come back stronger. We're going to come back stronger. And you see that port at Tobago that the Dr. Rowley intends to build. If he got the chance, it would make so much revenue for this place. That super highway to go Sunny Grande and that port in Tobago, we'll have no problems with Tobago again. All right? So thank you for accepting my call, and you all have a blessed day. All right?
And comrade, thank you for calling in. We are also all for strengthening the infrastructure of Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, the public service is all about that. We're here to serve Trinidad and Tobago, and the vision of whichever government is in power that we put there. They are ultimately public servants as well. The government is there to serve Trinidad and Tobago. The public service is there to execute those visions and missions that they have. And the Public Services Association is willing to work with the CPO and the government to strengthen the public service and the delivery. We have made that clear. We have no objection to that. That's our primary aim.
One thing, why do the CPO and do people like just hold back everything? They should put the people to work. When they put your people to work, you said a lot for your people. It don't matter.
Yes, that's right. Support your people.
It's very important, and just leaving us idle, because the devil looks for idle hands to do. You understand what's going on in the place?
That's right, and that's what we're calling for. We're calling for motivation. We want the CPO, we want the Public Services Commission to motivate the public servants, promote them, appoint them. That's what we're talking about this morning. Let us do the work we have been employed to do, and do it in a dignified manner, a respectful manner, respect our rights. And we are there, the union is there to work again with the CPO to achieve these objectives.
Well, if it was the CPO alone, I didn't mind.
Try your call again.
If it was the CPO alone, I didn't mind. However, we have another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. You all are talking about progress, and when you all about when you example, well, I will tell you. I know of a turncock operator in Wassa who got promoted, and I would like to know, he don't do nothing. He got promoted to 67. That is your president, and he's still getting money. He's still getting from a salary. He gets PSA salary, THA salary, and WASA salary. So what do you think about that?
Yes, so I am simply saying that in order for the public service to improve, every one of us need to do our part. We need to get the service commissions and the PSs and the HR departments and these people to come out and stay focused. One of the things I will always try to encourage people to do is to become fully informed before you make your contributions, so that you don't seem to misrepresent the information that you are presenting. But let us move forward. I genuinely believe that by putting it on the table, exposing the weaknesses that is taking place in the public service, that we can only make Trinidad and Tobago better.
And some people out there seem to think that the panacea for fixing the problems in the public service is to privatize it, right? And they're talking about the unions giving trouble and all these sorts of things. But think about it. Imagine you put in essential services in the private sector, and you don't believe that they could hold the country to ransom as well? There's always the unions holding the country to ransom. But imagine you put some of these services in the hands of the private sector, and then they don't get what they want, and they decide to do what they want. You just have some services that you just can't,
Yeah, but
think about privatizing.
Yes. But no, you see too, I genuinely believe that some people mean well, but they don't go the depth that is needed.
I mean, take a look at what's happening in the RHAs, for instance, right? It's beneficial to some people to see the government hospitals fail,
Yes. Yeah, because those private what is
hospitals,
called yes, hospitals. Yeah. They charge you a pound and a crown.
Yep.
For the same service you get at the public health institutions.
In some cases, the doctors work both places.
But I wanted to stay a bit on the principles that guide promotion and how we look at seniority in the public service. And if you look at Regulation 20, it says that the director shall keep an up-to-date seniority list of all officers holding offices in the several grades in the public service. The permanent secretary or the head of department shall keep in a prescribed form up-to-date seniority lists of all officers holding offices in the several grades in his ministry or department for the purpose of making recommendations for promotion and acting appointments. That is not happening with the degree of promptitude that is needed. And we have to look at it and ask ourselves, why are they taking that approach? Is it because they want to demoralize public officers and not have public officers understand where along the list they fall for their entitlement to be promoted to a higher position? Is it that they want to keep the list secret so that they can manipulate it in the interest of their own individual interest? We have to ask ourselves these questions, because there was a time when the public service used to function fairly smoothly based on these regulations.
With less technology as well.
And we didn't have as much technology. Something is wrong. There is mischief in the mix. And we have to get we have to get ourselves putting up a resistance.
Putting up some fight, got to fight. Putting up resistance. I'm gonna work it out right now. Putting up some resistance now. Putting up resistance. Putting up the fight, fight, fight.
Yes, folks, this is you and I on PSA. We're asking you to call in at 622-9154, 622-3303. Tobago, we have 639-0791. And we are here trying our best to correct the perception out there that all the ills of the public service is on the backs of the 17,000
Public
out
officers.
of the 33 that's supposed to be there, the 33,000 that's supposed to be there, who are causing the problem. But a lot of the problems are beyond our members, and they belong in institutions that were set up to do certain things that not function.
Look at transfers, comrades. Remember they talked about when an officer is to be transferred. These people have disregarded the regulation so much that they, and I'm talking about PSs now, where if they transfer officer and the officer doesn't move in accordance with the regulations, or the officer asks to have the regulations applied, which is my 30 days.
No, but
30 days notice.
But comrade, before
you know they want to lock him out?
No, but before you go there, all right, before you go there, and again, the knowledge that I have, no permanent secretary could transfer any public officer, right? They may be able to reassign them within the ministry, but transfers are the sole
responsibility
of the commission.
Of the commission, indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
And if the commission attempts to transfer an officer laterally, that is without promotion, he has the right to appeal that decision, and it's the only regulation where the officer is allowed to stay in the position until the commission determines that appeal. Right? Any other such regulation, the person will have to comply and then complain.
And the regulation is clear. The exception is 32, where the order of transfer involves the exchange of an officer in an office in a grade to another office in the same grade. The officer shall not assume his duties on transfer pending the review of the order by the commission. And some of these managers, they compel these officers to move, even though the commission regulations is clear. I want us to really spend a little time on these issues, because public officers need to know their rights, what are the regulations that guide their employment relationship, and how they can defend it. Because ignorance will, if it is allowed to fester, it will be to their disadvantage and to encourage confusion in the level of service delivery being given to the citizenry. Anytime you have doubts, come into our head office at 89 Abercrombie Street, Port of Spain, or any of our conveniently located sub-offices, which are in Arima, Chaguanas, San Fernando, and in Tobago. And we can edify you with respect to these rights and responsibilities.
And we'll be happy to do so. So come in. PSA members, and if you're interested in being a part of the PSA as well, come in. We are certainly pleased to have you, and you can come in and get more information about the PSA. You can go on to our Facebook page, PSA Trinbago. You can email us at psa.tnt@gmail.com, and we will be pleased to speak with you, to meet you. And if you would like us to visit your place of work as well, we have industrial relations officers that are able and willing to do so. We have grievance officers that are trained and able and equipped to deal with grievances. And this is what we are there for. We are there for you, our members. We are there for you, the public servants, the public officers, to assist you in knowing your rights, to assist you in also performing your responsibilities with all the tools and the safety and health and welfare that you need to have there. So, comrades, welcome to all of you.
And I want to say to Mr. Clark,
DJ Bruce Wayne.
It's Bruce Wayne.
DJ Bruce Wayne.
I'm trying to stay away from saying Batman, you know.
Oh, gosh.
That is why, Mr. Bruce Wayne, I want to say thank you for the kind of support we getting there in the background.
And we'll see you again tomorrow, DJ Bruce Wayne and Trinidad and Tobago. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the street, 91.9 FM, on You and I on PSC.